Is the Constitution to protect our rights?
Say that again?
The Constitution.
Yeah.
Is the way to protect our
Right.
rights?
Right. But it's recognizing that the Constitution is there to protect our rights if the people who are violating our rights are constitutional. If the people who are violating us aren't constitutional or don't have anything to do with Constitution, then you're not going to use that to protect yourself from them. Because they're not looking at that as something that could protect you. You know what I mean? So, so Drawley said, if you can't flee, drop the world on them. If you can't hold them off from violating you, then best thing is probably just drop the world on them. And then maybe they'll get the point, don't violate your rights. And that's not, go out and fight and, cause a riot or whatever like that. It means that the pen is mightier than the sword. Words have more power than actions. Because you're not gonna beat them with actions. If they got tanks and they go like this and 500,000 soldiers are in the street, right? And yes, it's an abuse of power. Yes, we know that it's it's a jurisdiction of fake authority. It's not real authority that they have. The authority that they have is pseudo, but they have the backing of ignorant people behind them. And the ignorant people is whose power they have. It's ignorant people's power that they're using to abuse people who are saying they have no power. And then if the ignorant people became competent of what powers they have, then their stuff's done. Which is why Drew Ali told the Moors that your duty is uplifting fallen humanity. Yeah, we can claim houses and we can do right to travel and all that stuff, but that's not your duty. You better have some dues paid in uplifting fallen humanity before you try anything else out there that Moors say more should be doing. Because our real job is making sure our people know about this. Like, that's really what it's about. Us in the know, having this info, and letting some other people know who don't have this info. And then see how we go when we have, instead of, one individual putting down their nationality card, trying to get taxes off or whatever, every individual that comes up is putting down nationality card. They're not going to tell everybody, no, you can't. They're not. Eventually somebody's going to say, hold on a second, you got one too? And you got one too, and you got one too. Okay, so you know what? We need to find another way to deal with this, because we can't deal with it this way. Because they realize already that, us holding them up at the cash register because we want to prove our status and not get taxes off is making them lose customers. Because everybody else is content with paying taxes. They don't care. They just pay their taxes. Why? Because they're a corporation. They feel that they gotta pay taxes. All right, cool. That's them. We're not in that boat. We have no obligation to that. And if we choose to say, no, we're not paying, then we should stand on what we're proving. And it comes back to the same thing, that if we realize that they're fraudulent and they don't want to accept that and they don't want to deal with it and they're going to try to make up every excuse why we're not tax exempt and all that stuff. No big deal. Stop supporting them and go find somebody else to deal with. More than likely, if you're dealing with your brother or sister, you might be better off than trying to deal with a foreign. Because I don't have no issues with Hindus, Chinese, or whatever like that with my nationality card. So they already know what's up. Right? Will these members of Canada Corps acknowledge the Aboriginal Indigenous peoples' implementation of the Constitution in the tribunals or so-called courts, and if so, why? Will these members of Canada Corps acknowledge the Aboriginal Indigenous peoples' implementation of the Constitution in the tribunals? Well, if it's a tribunal, it's not constitutional. If it's a so-called court, it's not constitutional. If it's an administrative building, it's not constitutional. So they don't have to acknowledge Aboriginal Indigenous peoples' implementation of anything. That doesn't mean that they're right that they did that, but anybody who's tied to Canada Corporation, they don't have to acknowledge Aboriginal Indigenous peoples' implementation of anything. They don't have to. They should, but we know that in certain circumstances they might acknowledge it, but in majority of cases they won't acknowledge it. Why won't they acknowledge it? Because the so-called Aboriginal Indigenous people has been black for the past 80 years or whatever. And then now they're finding out about all this stuff about rights and whatever like that. Now they want people to recognize, you know, their rights as Aboriginal or whatever like that, when, like, you haven't been that for 80 years. You haven't gone to your house for 80 years, and then you show up and there's people in there. Why are they gonna just leave because you're back? You haven't been there for 80 years. Like 80 years we haven't been in our own mind. Somebody else been in our mind for 80 years. And now we got our own mind back. We try to convince people that, hey, I have my own mind back or whatever, but, you know, pants down to here. And I have my own mind back, but, you know, wearing stuff that's not ours. I have my own mind back, but, you know, eating McDonald's, whatever, doing stuff that we shouldn't be doing, but we claim that we have our mind back. Right? If we have our mind back, then things should start moving in the other direction, should at least start moving in another direction. We can't have our mind back and still be in the same place. This is why we tell Moors, stop playing the game of, you know, we're Moors and, you know, doesn't matter what you call yourself, we can come together and, you know, be a family once we put away all our egos and once we, that's BS. Nationality is the order of the day.
That's it.
You don't care about no ego and all that stuff. Nationality is the order of the day. If you have a nationality, let's do something. If you don't have a nationality, the hell out of here. There ain't nothing that we can do with you. Nothing that we can do for you. It's not unity if Moors are with black guys taking pictures with Moroccan flags talking about, yeah, we're unified. That ain't no unity.
The picture.
That's a picture.
Still infected by the virus.
You know what I mean? It's still infected. You know?
Quarantine.
Right? You know, and you know that's also right in line with Moors who's telling Moors pay taxes. Or Moors telling Moors, you know, get licenses or get whatever without instructing them on how to live within contracts. And then Moors looking at individuals talking like this and thinking that they got some type of authority, no different than they look out the window, oh yeah, policeman, when that's highwayman. What are you talking about policeman outside? When that's a highwayman. And the highwayman's a bandit. Right? So we have to stop looking for acknowledgement from Canada Corporation. You don't need acknowledgement from Canada Corporation. We need to recognize ourselves. We need to recognize who we are. And recognize that Canada is a corporation. So ain't nothing that they can do or give us or whatever. They're a corporation. What could we get from any corporation out there relative to our nationhood or our rights or whatever? Nothing, zero. They have nothing to give you, and we wouldn't ask. Right? And again, like, you know, if Moors would really consider paying more attention to RV Bay publications as a study tool, instead of playing like there's Moors out there, or not there's Moors, that all Moors out there are for all Moors. And anybody in a fez and anybody in a turban is my Moorish brother and sister. We're Moorish American. That's BS. There's no credibility to individuals who they claim they've been around since Noble Drew Ali, but you just heard about them some months ago, and you only heard about them because, you know, they're coming out and talking now because they're starting to look bad. They're starting to look like they don't know what the hell they're talking about, because members in their temple are now coming up to them and asking them about constitutional law and asking them about civics and asking them about all this stuff that they refused to teach for 80 years. And then now they're getting challenged by these people who are claiming to be members of their temple. That we've had members of Moorish Science temples have situations, and they've gone to Grand Chief, Grand Governor, whatever like that, and the head of the temple that they're belonging in is telling them, go get a PD to handle your stuff. Go hire a lawyer to handle your stuff. This is somebody who's a member of Moorish Science Temple, getting told by the heads of Moorish Science Temple, go get a lawyer. We don't deal with that.
So, Cujo, while we're on the subject of like very Moors, when you were making reference to that temple in Pittsburgh you were at, did you guys end up going back the next day?
No, we didn't go back because they had we were gonna go after the event, but then we found out that they were closed because they only have Sunday school, and then their Sunday school is at night, at 7 o'clock or whatever. We were already gone, so it wasn't even anything that we were gonna go do. I mean, we had the thought, you know what I mean? The energy was there to do it, but common sense prevailed, and you realize, you know, we go there with 50 people, and tomorrow they're still gonna be there with no sign, pretending that they're somebody, regardless of what we did. You know what I mean? You know, maybe if we burn the building down, you know what I mean? Like, nothing will be going on or whatever, but we know that you know, based on their activity for the past 80 years, that they have a program, and they're dealing with their program. They're not going anywhere else. I mean, that's what their position is. Their position is doing exactly what it is that they're doing. Continuing to confuse the people and have the people thinking that, you know, this organization called Moorish Science Temple is strictly something religious, and it has nothing to do with any type of civics or anything like that. All this has to do with is religion, and getting, you know, people to embrace Islam and stupid stuff like that. Right? When this is way more than that.